Hey, everybody, welcome back to Build It with Tim. On today's episode, we're talking about navigation, specifically how you can utilize different navigation methods and techniques to get you and your users through all of the pages and workflows in your Tadabase app. All right, when we're talking about navigation inside of a Tadabase app, I want to think about this from the perspective of the entire application. So, from the point somebody logs in to the point where they are actually inside of a particular page and they're performing some sort of workflow or task or process, I want to think about how we can get the user to go from point A to point B to point C, so on and so forth. So, we're going to start by looking at this sample application. We're dealing with project management in this particular case. And we're going to start kind of from the beginning. Okay. So, like I said, when the user logs in, so one of the ways we can navigate a user right off the bat is through login redirect rules. So, if we navigate to our login page and we click on the login component, you're going to see a tab up here called login redirect rules. What this is going to do is it's going to look at the user's role when they log in, and it's going to send them to a specific page. So this is going to be your first kind of use case of how you can get users to the place that they belong inside of the app as soon as they log in. So if we take a look at what that looks like on the actual published application, I've defined that if a user logs in and their role is team member, then they're going to be redirected to the team member's dashboard. You can see upon logging in, it's going to take us directly to the page that we intend to be at. Okay, and if we log out and we go look at the other role that we have available to us, which is project manager, you see that when we log in here, we actually end up on an entirely different page, right? Because we have multiple login redirect rules set up for multiple different user roles. So the next form of navigation that I want to talk about is once a user's inside the app, you likely want them to visit all of the different pages that you've created in your app in order to perform various tasks, workflows, or processes. You can see at the top of the page, we have a menu, a navigation menu that allows the user to actually click between pages, navigate between different links, so on and so forth. That is what's referred to as the menu component. The second item here that has to do with menus is what's known as the user menu. So the user menu gives the user the ability to navigate directly to their profile or log out. And if you were looking at a page when you were not logged in, you could also log in directly from the user menu as well. So this is a nice handy feature to take users directly to the pages that are relevant to user actions. So if we go back to the builder, we can take a look at how we can set up a menu and a user menu. Now these are placed on a page layout. So here in this layout, we have a menu in this particular row, and then we have a second row that's split into two columns, and we have the user menu down here on the right. If you were working with a blank layout or a new layout, you can simply add a new menu by going to the components menu and dragging the menu into a particular column. Now, like most components, there is a pretty large configuration menu when you click on the actual component. So we're going to open up that menu and can see that this is how our menu is now configured. So we have the ability to add new menu items. We can add sub menu items or child menu items. And when we click on these, you can see we can configure them in a number of different ways. So each menu link could be defined as a page, a just regular link, a custom piece of text, an image, or some sort of user function like we discussed previously with the user menu. Okay, and additionally, under the options menu, we have a couple of different items here. We have the ability to rename the menu so that it's easily identified later in our app. We could also change the menu style. So right now it's currently set to horizontal, which means it's going to display across the top of the application. But if we switch it to vertical, you're going to see it's going to turn it into a sidebar type navigation. So if I log out here and log back in as a team member, our menu now sits over here on the left. As far as the user menu goes, we also have plenty of configuration options for this, like what type of links you want to show. If we want to show a profile picture as a particular image for the user, and whether or not we want to show the login page as a pop-up, things like that. Inside of here, we also have logout redirect rules. So Inside the user menu where you could click log out, this is another form of navigation where when somebody logs out, we want to send them to a particular page. Okay, so if we want to send them back to the login page in order to give them the opportunity to log back in and get themselves back into the app and working. Moving on to the next type of navigation, we're talking about links, specifically detail links and connected page links. So, detail links, well, you might not think of them as an immediate kind of method of navigation. It is changing the URL that the user is visiting. Therefore, I'm kind of counting it as navigation. So, if you don't know what a detail page is, a detail page gives you the ability to view the details of any specific record. So, if we look at our app here and we go to tasks, let's say we want to look at more details about fix site bugs, this particular task for this particular project. We can click on the details button and it's going to navigate us to a new page, giving us the ability to see more data components that we've created so we can see more information about that particular task and any connected or related items throughout our app. To create a new detail page for any given component, you can do so by adding a page. And when you select a particular component for that page, you're going to be prompted to see if you wanted to include a link to view more details about a task. So if I enable this to yes or switch this to yes, it's going to automatically create that details page for me. Now, if I already have a page with a component on the page, then I can simply click the component to open the component configuration window, and then I can go to links and choose record details page. And that will create a link here as its separate column that I can now configure to my needs. Now, while we're here, we're going to talk about connected page links. But first, I want to show you kind of where it's going to exist inside of the published application. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to back up a little bit. We're looking at our tasks. We also have a page called expenses. Now, each one of these have their own relevant detail page, so task details and expense details. However, on the task detail page, we are showing the connected expenses. Now, if I wanted to see more details about this particular connected expense, I could go to my expenses page, find the particular record that we were just looking at, and click its detail button to view the detail page itself. If I add a connected page link, I can actually do some sort of lateral navigation. So I can move from one detail page to another detail page without navigating back to a parent page or anything like that. Okay, so to do this, we're going to go to task details, find our expenses or connected expenses table component. We're going to open that up, add that connected page link, and now we'll be prompted to choose where we want to direct the user to. So we're going to choose expenses and expense details. Right, and now if I refresh this page and go back into that particular task detail page, we now have a link here that will take me directly to the expense detail page as a form of lateral navigation. And last but not least, we're going to talk about another form of link, but in this case, it's just a kind of standalone link button and also submit rules. Okay, so I'm going to show these two in kind of like a conjoined example here. So we're going to use link buttons to get us to point A, and then we're going to use submit rules to get us back to point B or even point C. So on this page, I am looking at a list of projects. Now, I know that you can add a button for a table component to add a new item to whatever the data source is, but let's say you wanted to have a standalone button to do that. Down here on my projects page, which is the one that we are looking at over here, I can add a standalone button called a link button that will allow me to, add new project that will allow me to navigate the user to any given page. In this case, I'm going to choose a page that's dedicated with a form component to add a new project. And that's going to now put a button up here that will take me to this particular page. So this is useful for when you might want to have one form that you can access from several pages throughout your application. So by using the link button, you can navigate the user to a constant page, a consistent page. They can then submit the form. And now how do we get them back? So we can do that with submit rules. I'm going to go find my page with the form, which is titled New Project. And now I can click on the form and we're going to go to Rules and Submit Rules. So inside of Submit Rules, we have the ability to redirect. Again, a form of navigation for the user. So if we want to redirect to an existing page, we're going to have a couple different options. We can choose to redirect back to the original project's page. Or if we wanted to redirect specifically to the project details page to view the record that they just created, we could do that too. So I'll show you both. We'll do projects first, which is the parent level page. Now, when somebody submits this form, actually, let's start from the top. So we're looking at all of our projects. We click the link button to navigate us to the new project form. We can now fill out our project form, and then we can save it. And it's going to using the submit rule, it's going to redirect us back to the project page. Now from here, I could then go and let's see where a sample project. I could go view that project details in order to, add new tasks or expenses, whatever it is. However, using the other example of redirecting to a detail page, it will actually take us directly to the record detail page for what we just created. So if we look at that one more time, we'll click the link button to add a new project. Sample project 2. We have our description and we have our project manager. And now it's going to take us directly to the project details where we can continue working and doing whatever it is that we need to do to complete our task. Okay, and lastly, now that we're done, we are going to log out, and using logout redirect rules, it's going to send us back to our login page where we can start again. All right, so that's it for today's episode of Build It with Tim. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Take care.